Welcome students, welcome to the next session of Strength of Interest 1. So in the previous classes, we have started our unit 3 which is regarding bending stresses in waves. There we have started the pure bending. So when any segment of the beam is having only the bending moment action, not the shear force. Further we have taken an example where we have got the bending moment diagram like this. A segment which is being subjected to loading like this, and this segment between A and B is not at all having any shear force. That segment, when we are developing the bending moment diagram, we have got a constant bending moment value when it is zero shear force in the points between A and B. So that segment where the shear force is equal to 0 but it is having the bending moment action, that condition can be called as pure bending, and the corresponding stresses generated in the particular member, we call them as bending stresses. So stress generated due to bending action. We named them as bending stresses, the stress which is being generated due to the bending action. Later, we have started a definition and a concept which is theory of pure bending. Okay, so in theory of pure bending, or simple bending, so in the theory of pure bending and simple bending, again we have considered a segment which is having a constant bending moment and zero shear force. In that particular segment, we have taken some assumptions which are being very important. Considering the material is homogeneous and isotropic, each section, the cross section of the beam member is remaining plane, and each layer is individual and independent to expand or contract, and on a particular plane there is no net force acting. So all these conditions we have considered them as the assumptions. Later we have developed a relation between, or a relation for strain variation along the depth of the beam. So the strain variation along the depth of the beam, we have got a relation strain along depth. So that variation or further strain at a point or layer is equal to Y divided by R. What is that Y? What is this capital R? Y is nothing but depth of that particular layer from the neutral axis, or distance of the layer from the neutral layer. When we consider the beam member like this and we are observing its side view like this, what it will do? When we consider the neutral layer, I can say this is the neutral layer position. Okay. What is the meaning of a neutral layer? In the neutral layer, there is no compression or tension. There is no elongation or reduction in the length. So, there is no force is acting on the neutral layer. There is no change in the dimension in the neutral layer. Now, from the neutral layer, when we consider any other layer at a distance y, the corresponding layers that layers distance from the neutral layer is called as y. See here, number of layers. Okay, number of layers were there in the beam. In those one layer which is at the center, I am considering them as a neutral layer, and at a distance of y from the neutral layer, another layer is there, another filament is there, or another fiber is there. Okay, in that fiber, what is the strain? What is the change in the length of the layer by original length of the layer? Okay, so change in the length of the layer by original length of the layer we have got as y divided by r. Y, as we have already said, that is the distance from the neutral layer. And capital R is radius of curvature of the neutral layer. As we have already mentioned, due to some bending action, due to some moment action, this segment is taking some shape, and we are having this neutral layer as NN. This neutral neutral layer is having a radius with the center of curvature. So the radius of curvature of the neutral layer is indicated as r. Okay. Y is the depth or the distance of that particular layer from the neutral layer, and r is the radius of curvature. As for a beam member, r is constant. So the strain is depending on y. Strain is directly proportional to distance of that particular layer from the neutral layer. Now, so strain in any layer is directly proportional to y, means distance of layer from neutral layer Nn. Okay, so y is the distance of the layer from the neutral layer. As is in the direct relation, when we observe, we can say a single linear function it will be given. What it is saying? So, as this is depth of beam, as it is the depth of the beam, maybe if you want you can indicate it as d. Okay, some small d depth of the beam. The height is depth of the beam. Now, from the neutral layers level, when I know a position y, okay, from the neutral layer, when you know the position, as we have already said, at neutral layer there is no strain, as there is no change in the dimension. Okay, from this neutral layer, I am having a location, and at that location, with this measurement, I can get what is the strain. Or when I go with another dimension, okay, some other y2 is there, and there I am having some other strain. So this strain variation diagram along the depth of the beam is indicating at which positions, when from the neutral layer I am at y1 distance. So at y1 distance what is the strain? At y2 distance what is the strain? So the strain variation along the depth it is showing. So observing this, what I can say, when we go far away from the neutral layer, the strain is getting increased. When we go far away from the neutral layer, it is getting increased. Strain is increased. So as the distance from the neutral layer increases, the corresponding strain also increases. So distance from the neutral layer increases, the corresponding strain also increases, and it is maximum at the topmost layer and at the bottom layer. So it will be highest, the strain will be highest at the topmost layer and at the bottom layer, because the top layer will have more reduction in the length and the bottom layer will have more increase in the length. So this is the concept we have generated for the strain variation along the depth of the beam. Okay. Now I am going into a small indication. We have already taken initial state. We are observing a number of layers. Due to the application of the load, what it is doing? It is getting bent due to some loading application, and each individual layer is responding. It is not even, it is being connected, but in the assumptions I am taking, each individual layer is independent. It is free to expand or to contract. So that is the original condition happening as per the theory of pure bending. Then, so now I am generating the relation between stress variation along the depth of the beam. Again, we are considering a segment of the beam which is in between section AB and section CD, and the length of the particular segment I have indicated as dx. Okay. Now, in this segment where the beam is having pure bending only, the beam is having pure bending action only, no shearing force, pure bending only there. Okay. In that condition, we are considering a layer which is EF, and the layer is at a distance of y from the neutral layer. Okay, from the neutral layer, that is at a distance of y. Now, after the bending action, the shape may appear like this. So, the segment AB, segment CD section lines will be like this, and connecting the AB plane and connecting the CD plane, we will get the center of curvature of that particular circle. We have already said that the beam segment will take the portion of a big circle with a center, and it is having the radius of curvature up to the neutral layer level. So, center of curvature and radius of curvature. So, this we call it as circular bending also. Please don't think differently. As in case of pure bending, I am taking each individual filament is taking the shape of a circular arc, and this shape is being a segment of a very big circle with the radius of curvature of the neutral layer as r. Okay, so this indication can be called as circular bending. Okay, circular bending is also another name for this. So this is the circular bending action. Now this EF is being converted to some other point because it is being bent. Every corner is changing its position. Then we have given some unit. A is changed to A dash, B is changed to B dash, C to C dash, D to D dash, E dash, F as F dash, and N I have indicated as N dash N dash. In this way, each corner is taking some new position I am indicating here, and indicated the center of curvature and indicated the included angle between the section lines AB and the section line CD, and we have indicated the depth of the layer from the neutral layer, depth of the layer from the neutral layer. Now, for that, the stress in the layer EF is indicated as sigma. As we have already mentioned, even though it is a bending action, the member is having some moment, or the material is having some moment action or the bending action. What we are seeing, even though it is bending, due to this bending action, each layer is having stress in the form of tensile or compression. Even though I am giving bending, stress will be generated, I will call it as bending stress. That bending stress is in the nature of tensile or compressive. Okay, so in generally the tensile stress or compressive stress will be indicated as sigma. Okay, that's why even though it is bending stress, I am naming it as sigma because bending stress itself is a part of tensile stress or compressive stress based on the layer position. Now, sigma is equal to stress in the layer EF, and capital E, we are taking it as the Young's modulus of the material of the beam. As we have already mentioned, material is having same Young's modulus, which is being homogeneous and isotropic, and this E value is the same in the topmost layers which are having compression and the bottommost layers which are having tension. So, entire beam section is having the same Young's modulus of the material. Now, that is capital E. What is the definition from the Hooke's law? Young's modulus is equal to stress in that particular layer by strain in that particular layer, or stress in the section by strain in the section. So, here I am taking with respect to EF layers answer. So, in that layer EF is also I am having Young's modulus as E. Now, that layer EF is showing some strain. That layer EF is having some stress. Okay, the layer EF is having some stress on it. Okay, so number of sheets, number of piles were there. As I am bending, each layer is having different stress application. Due to that stress application only, it is showing some expansions or contractions. Okay, in that particular layer of EF, I am having some stress, and in that particular layer of EF, we are considering as the strain in EF. So, stress in EF I have mentioned as sigma, and strain in EF. In the previous step itself, we have mentioned strain at any layer or strain in any layer is equal to Y divided by R. So, that Y divided by R, how it comes? Y is distance of that particular layer from the neutral layer. R comes, it is the radius of the curvature. Okay, so strain in any layer. So, that strain is equal to Y divided by R. I am substituting here. So, sigma by Y by R is equal to capital E. With a small rearrangement, I have got sigma is equal to E into Y by R, and then I have got is equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. Sigma by Y is equal to E by R. Or if you want, you can write it is the bending stress, that is as the bending stress itself is the normal stress only. That's why I am not at all indicating. Later I will use that as sigma B by Y is equal to E by R. Even though it is normal stress, but it is acting due to the application of bending. That's why bending stress. Okay, bending stress by Y is equal to E by R. So this is one part of generation of the pure bending equation. So with this I can say stress variation, like this E and E are sigma by Y is equal to E by R, we have mentioned, right? As Young's modulus and radius of curvature of the material are being a constant. Simply I can say Young's modulus of material is a value. Radius of curvature, as we have already taken in the previous step, R is a constant for the beam. So since E and R are constant, therefore the stress in any layer is directly proportional to the distance of the layer from the neutral layer. So stress, it is being a constant value as E and R are being constant. The ratio of sigma by Y, I can say sigma is directly proportional to Y, because E and R, the ratio itself is a constant. That's why sigma is directly proportional to Y, I can write. So as E and R are being constant, therefore the stress in any layer is directly proportional to the distance of the layer from the neutral layer. Again, sigma is directly proportional to Y. Same like the strain variation. Strain is also directly proportional to Y. So in the same condition of linear variation, for here also it will come. So straight line indication with a linear, that is the stress diagram along the depth of the beam. So this is the stress diagram. And what it is saying, hence sigma varies linearly with respect to Y, that is distance from the neutral axis of the neutral layer. So when we observe the whole picture, I can see this bending action and each individual point is having some stresses, and the point EF at a distance Y is having some stress in the picture, and the extreme bottom point is having the maximum stress and it is having the maximum stress value, as it is facing so much of tension. As being it as the bottom, it is facing so much of tension, and in the top layer is having so much of compression. That's why the compressive stress is more, and here the tension stress is more. So in this way the variation is coming. At any other point it is somewhat lesser than the extreme fiber. Okay. Now I am going into the next word. So we have given the relation between sigma by Y is equal to E by R. So we have generated this part, and also we have given the condition sigma is directly proportional to Y, and also we have given the condition strain is directly proportional to Y. So using these conditions we have given a linear variation is occurring in case of stress. Again in case of strain also, only the extreme fibers are facing more stress, only the extreme fibers are facing more strain. Okay, in this way up to this part we have concluded. Now we are going into the next part in the same derivation, which is neutral axis. So what do you mean by neutral axis? Already we have given the definition of neutral axis, which is nothing but line of intersection of a neutral layer with the transverse section. So two planes when they are meeting and giving a line of action, right? So that the line of intersection having the line of intersection between neutral layer and the transverse section. the line of intersection between neutral layer and the transverse section is indicated as the neutral axis of the particular beam cross section. Okay, for a beam being subjected to pure bending moment, the stresses generated on the neutral layer is equal to 0. As in the previous step of stress variation also we have observed, away from the neutral layer, when it is at a distance y, then only we will get the corresponding stress. When the axis is away from the neutral layer at some point with some distance, then only there will be stress. At the neutral layer location, there is no stress. As in the previous step, at the neutral layer location, there is no strain. So, the point here only they have mentioned, in the neutral layer location, the corresponding stresses will be 0. Even though I am applying the pure bending moment, on the neutral layer there is no stresses. Now, the neutral axis is defined as the line of intersection of the neutral layer with respect to the transverse section. So, this neutral axis I am indicating as the line of intersection of the neutral layer with the transverse section. Okay, simply you can observe two planes. One is a horizontal one, and when I am crossing with a vertical plane, what it will give, like it is crossing. Okay, so this line of intersection between those neutral layer and the transverse section, that the line I am indicating as neutral axis. Okay, now consider the cross section of the beam which is being subjected to pure bending. Okay, such type of one particular cross section I am taking, then the stress at a distance y from the neutral axis is given by sigma by y is equal to E by R. Okay, as we have already mentioned, I am considering a cross section of the beam, and in that cross section, when we observe the side view, I can observe this neutral axis as the neutral layer. When we observe this view, okay, this is along the length of the beam, and when we see like this, I am observing this is my neutral layer. Okay, so this is the neutral layer view when we observe along the length of the beam. In that beam, I am considering a transverse section. That transverse section is giving a line of action between this neutral layer and the transverse section. So there is a line of action or line of intersection between the neutral layer and every transverse section. That axis I am indicating as neutral axis. Okay, this neutral axis and observing this cross section only when I am cutting this section and seeing this view. So this cross section I am observing like this. So the complete depth of the beam and the complete width of the beam is like this. Here what are the dimensions I can see? Here I can see length of the beam. Okay, and here you can see the depth. Width will be on the third side. Okay, in the z direction the width will be there. Only length and depth will come here. When we see the cross section and observe the corresponding transverse section, this will be like the B by D. In that, what I need to indicate? The line of intersection of the neutral layer with the transverse section, that is the neutral axis line. Okay, this neutral axis line we have indicated. And considering the cross section of a beam which is being subjected to pure bending, the stress at a distance y from the neutral axis is given by whatever is the condition. Here is the pure bending thing happening. So sigma by y is equal to E by R. Stress in any layer by distance of the layer from the neutral layer, E Young's modulus of the middle of the beam, R radius of curvature of the neutral layer. Okay. Now let NA be the neutral axis. So we have mentioned this line as the neutral axis NA of the section, and considering a small layer at a distance of y from the neutral axis. So when we observe from the neutral layer, here I am considering another layer. Okay. So this layer is at a distance of y from the neutral layer. So at a distance of y from the neutral layer, when we observe the cross section, I have observed a thin layer, as we are mentioning, they are like a filaments, like a fibers, one over another, like a pile of papers. Okay, that layer is at a distance of y. When we see the cross-sectional view, you can observe with the cutting, this layer line is indicated as the distance of that particular layer in the cross-sectional view. So that layer is having this area as dA. Okay, this layer is having the area as dA, as the thickness is very less and multiplication is there. So the overall area of that particular layer I am indicating as dA. And the thickness you can observe here, that is dy, thickness of the layer dy, and overall area of that layer dy into width is indicated as dA. Now force acting on the layer, as the cross section is like this, width and depth, and I am observing a neutral axis like this, and we are indicating a layer which is at a distance y, and it is having some thickness as dy, and this material or this layer's area is indicated as dA. Okay, now force acting on the layer. How could I calculate force acting on any element? Here the stress I know, so stress acting on the layer into cross section. What is happening? Some compressive stress. So only observe this layer dimension. Okay, this layer is having some stress, that is sigma. On this layer some sigma stress is being applied. Now what is the force acting on the layer? As stress is equal to force by area, so force is equal to sigma stress into area of that particular element. Only this element's area and stress in this element. Stress in this element into area of this element will give force acting on this element. So force acting on this element of the layer is equal to stress into area, which is equal to sigma into dA. And sigma, we have already got a relation, that is E by R into Y, which is equal to dA. As this is not considering as the whole section, so the force I have indicated as dF. Only for the small element, it is having some dF application of force, and it is having a small area as dA. Based on the stress on that particular layer, we have got another term, that is E by Y into R. Okay, so up to this force we have generated only in that particular layer. So when we observe the whole picture, this will be useful for the next step. The force acting perpendicular to this section on the layer. As we have mentioned, this layer is having some compressive force like this. So this compressive force answer is dF. That dF answer we have got as sigma times dA. So the force acting on the layer with an area dA I have indicated, that is being perpendicular to the section. Now where dA is being the cross-sectional area of the strip or the layer we are considering. Now the total force acting on the beam section, as I am considering only a single strip's force, only force on the single strip. Now overall section is having, this overall section may have many number of strips, right? So many number of continuous strips will be like this. Every strip will have some forces. So for calculating what is the total force acting, I need to calculate what is the perpendicular force acting on this section, So every layer is having some perpendicular force. The overall or the total force acting on the section, for this discreting we will use integration. So summation of each individual force acting. What is the force on this? Maybe some 5 kilonewtons. Some other layer 3 kilonewtons. So integrating the whole forces or adding up all the forces in the layers, we will get the total force acting on the beam section. That F is equal to integral of this part E into Y by R into dA. As we have already mentioned, E and R are constants. Young's modulus of the material and radius of the curvature are constant. They are taking out integral Y times dA. Okay. So F is equal to integral Y times dA. Now in the assumptions also we have mentioned a very important point. The pure bending theory is based on an assumption. What is that? There is no resultant force acting perpendicular to any cross section. So when we observe the whole cross section, from the cross section or in the perpendicular direction to the cross section, there is no force is acting. So this F value that is perpendicular to the cross section will be equal to 0. Just in the previous step we have got a term for that is E by R integral y times dA, that is equal to 0, because the total force acting on the beam section, this is the formula. But in the assumption, net force acting on the section will be equal to 0. So this term is like that, E by R integral y times dA is equal to 0, where y and dA, y times dA is representing the moment of the area dA about the neutral axis. What is this moment of area? When we consider an axis, there is some portion of area. Okay, so this is area and this is the perpendicular distance. So like force, we will write area moment. A into y is the moment of about this axis. Here I am having axis line like this and I am having an area like this. So area moment. So area into perpendicular distance. dA area into y will be the area moment. Okay, force moment is force into perpendicular distance. Area moment is area value into perpendicular distance. So this y into dA is representing moment of the area about the neutral axis. See here, from the neutral axis only I am calculating the perpendicular distance. So about neutral axis, moment of that particular area is dA into y. Now integral of dA into y. See here, y into dA is indicating only for this small area. Now if it is integration, integral y dA is equal to moment of area of the entire cross section. Moment of area of the entire cross section with respect to the neutral axis. So moment of area of the whole cross section with respect to neutral axis will be represented as integral y dA. And moment of area with respect to centroidal axis is 0, as when we consider any cross section and when we calculate centroid location, you know, right? For the rectangle, I will observe at the center line. For the circular, we will observe along the diameter. Okay. So in this way, about any centroidal axis, when we calculate y into A or integral y times dA about the centroidal axis, this value will be equal to 0. This is a standard condition. Okay. So about centroidal axis of any cross section, this moment of the area or area moment will be equal to 0. So what it is saying in the previous step, about neutral axis I have got this answer is equal to 0. About neutral axis we have got integral y dA is equal to 0. So this step we have got. But what is the standard condition? About centroidal axis integral y dA is equal to 0. So this is the standard condition. About the centroidal axis, integral y dA is equal to 0. But here I have got about neutral axis also integral y dA is equal to 0. So what it is saying? This neutral axis is coinciding with the centroidal axis. So hence the neutral axis and the centroidal axis for the beam subjected to simple bending are the same lines. Simply those two lines for a cross section I can observe a centroidal axis. That centroidal axis location is the neutral axis line of the particular beam. Okay, neutral axis is being coincided with the centroidal axis are the centroidal axis is giving the position of the neutral axis. So location or locating the neutral axis. Okay, so neutral axis location we have find out where it is being located. That is being located at the centroidal axis of the section. So with this way we are concluding today's topic, which is stress variation along the depth of the beam and location of the neutral axis in the beam. Okay, simply a small condition what we have given. We have got the final answer as sigma by y is equal to E by R as the stress variation, and we have finalized that sigma is in a directly proportional relation with y, and we have given the variation as a simple linear condition. Later we have take neutral axis location, and for the neutral axis location what we have observed, I am observing integral by dA about NA is becoming equal to 0, but originally this integral by dA will be 0 for the centroidal axis only. So this neutral axis is being located with centroidal axis only. So the location of neutral axis is being coincided with the centroidal axis. In the next class we are going into the next concept in the same derivation as moment of resistance. Thank you.